Well, good morning, sir.
Good morning to you, sir.
Happy Friday.
You're a little fuzzy.
There we go.
There he is. All right.
Happy Friday. It is sunny finally here in Texas. We were frozen in last weekend, and first part of this week we were still kind of frozen.
Yeah. It's been down in the 50s here, so
What was that? What was that?
Oh, you're sending your friend pictures of gas prices, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to start sending you pictures of thermometers.
Yeah, fair. That's fair. Fair. Yeah.
It was fair.
Good morning, AC Cruz. Yeah, it was 7 degrees in Texas Monday morning. I woke up at work. I'm like, no, nope, no. I do not tolerate this.
Hey, at least you were above zero. Up north, it was like
True.
I heard it was minus 50, and I'm like, I've been at minus 40 below. I thought I was going to die.
Yeah. Well, it's funny they say that because last Friday I wasn't here because I was at my brother-in-law's wedding. He got married last Friday. And he got married right before the weather started to turn really bad. But I got into a little debate with one of my family members because he was saying he prefers it being cold. You can always put on layers, right? I'm polar opposite. I'm like, look, you can put on layer after layer, and if you're still cold,
there's nothing you can do.
Then what? What do you do? I get it. People don't like the heat, but with heat, as long as you hydrate, drink water and Gatorade on a regular basis, you'll be just fine.
Right.
And I'm speaking from experience. I've been in 140-degree weather in the desert, and I was just fine.
Well, I doubt you were just fine, but you were
managing. Well, I was because
I would rather be in. Like I said, I would rather be in 140 than minus 40. Yes.
Yeah,
minus 40 was criminal. That was like life threatening.
Now I will admit, dry heat is always better than humid heat. I will admit that.
Well, the first time I went to Phoenix, AC, it was 119. So,
and people survive. They live just fine.
Yeah. As long as the AC is going.
Yeah, true. Fair enough. All righty, Patriots. Let's go and get started. So the title is pretty simple, straightforward. Minneapolis folds. It has been crumbling for a long time. But like we talked about week before last, massive amounts of fraud were discovered in Minneapolis. Do you remember that, Joel?
Oh, yeah.
And now that more time has passed, we've learned that this fraud is not minimal. Apparently, we're talking to the tune of billions of dollars of taxpayer dollars gone because of this fraud. So, Joel, let me ask you a question. If you were in charge of the federal government, if you were in charge of some agency, and you found out that there are thousands of illegals in a city that has just been discovered to be the source of billions of dollars worth of fraud, what would your priority be? Would your priority be investigating the fraud or getting rid of the illegals causing the fraud?
Need a little more information in this scenario. Mm-hmm. Am I in a Democratic administration or am I in a Republican administration?
You're in this administration. You are in the administration
administration
actually gives you the tools you need to do your job.
Oh,
what would you do?
I would probably do what they're trying to do right now, which is, do my Romans 13 duty as one in authority that was instituted to do right and punish wrongdoing. So that's what I would do. But
now we've covered this verse many times in other videos, but this one's a little bit unique. On one hand, let's be honest. Let's be transparent here. Do any of us truly like the federal government? Probably not. There are some good elements to the Fed, fair enough. But if we all had a choice between doing our own thing or being subject to a federal government, I would assume most of us would be for doing our own thing. I think that's pretty fair. What do you think, Joel?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about the federal government. The founding fathers knew it's just, it serves to, an entity gets so big that it eventually starts serving just for the purpose of growing itself and feeding itself.
Right.
So, it's kind of like the plant in Little Shop of Horrors, right? You got to keep feeding me, feeding me. Right. And then as soon as you run out of food, all of a sudden, it's, okay, you're going to feed me literally, whatever. So, power corrupts, and absolute more the power you have, the more corrupt you get. And especially if there's no watchdogs.
Key word there, watchdogs. Right, making sure that there are checks and balances. Right. Here's the thing: we all need a government. You have to have a government for a functioning society. Cool. The question is, how big, how powerful, and what does that big government actually do? Right? Should they be involved in your personal lives, or should they simply enforce federal law? Well, in today's episode, we're talking about enforcing federal law.
Right.
Now, just out of curiosity, Joel, what federal law do you think we could be talking about today? Just take a wild guess.
Which federal law?
Yeah, like what federal law do you think we could be talking about today in relation to Minneapolis?
Which specific federal law?
About, I don't know, people who are here in the country, are they U.S. citizens or are they not?
Well, yeah, I guess, I don't know which is there. There could be several, but it's basically immigration law or
bingo. Yeah, immigration law.
What category of federal law? Yes.
Well, it's like if someone is here illegally, what has been happening for before the current administration to what's happening now. Let's do a quick compare and contrast. What did we see on a daily basis under Biden?
We saw people pouring across the border that's about a way south of me.
Thousands a day.
Well, thousands a day, millions in total. Yes.
Flowing in, not just from Mexico, mind you. We're talking all over the world.
Yeah.
Okay. Flowing in.
Right.
Nothing to do stop it. And yet, all of a sudden, now, when was the last time you heard about thousands pouring in the border?
You don't. And we don't see it here. Like I said, San Diego County, where I am, is ground zero along the Texas border, right?
Sure.
Where the border fence is. So,
and Florida, same thing.
Yeah, Florida. And even the Canadian border. We talked with Lucas about that a while back, right?
Right.
So, yeah.
And so the thing is, I'll be playing some videos here in a minute. What's ironic about all of this is we are kicking out way more illegals from red states than we are these blue states. But the reason why is because local law enforcement do their job and assist federal agents do their job.
Right. And somebody made the point. I was watching that the reason ICE is not really trained to deal with mobs and protesters and people that's the job of the local police departments to keep these people off of ICE so they can do their job.
Right. But what happens when local government officials tell their local police forces do not assist federal agents?
Yeah.
Well, first off, you're breaking the law by doing that. First off,
and people get hurt. People get hurt.
Secondly, you create an environment that's going to lead to riots, not just protesting, violent agitators, violent riots. Now, this episode, we're not going to go deep into the issues between the residents and the ICE agents, but we are going to look at the big picture as far as how this happened, how it transpired, and how the federal government responded. So let's get into this now. Here we go.
And then every single federal agency, from the Department of Agriculture to the Department of Education, to the HHS.
This is about the initial fraud that was discovered. And keep in mind, Tim Walz was at the very head of this.
Yeah. The FBI, to Homeland Security, to the Treasury Department, the SEC, they all collectively uncovered more and more fraud than anyone could have ever imagined in their wildest nightmares. I mean, Trump has said he's got reports that the fraud may be as high as $80 billion when all is said and done. $80 billion. And then, of course, you got Walz doing everything he could to distract the legacy media from this little embarrassment. So he went from lying to looting. He encouraged everyone in Minneapolis to rise up against these federal agents and actively thwart their law enforcement duties, which I don't see as anything other than treason and insurrection. And of course, that treason and insurrection got 2 radical activists killed in the process. But then the Trump administration received information on infiltrated, encrypted signal chats that were orchestrating these riots. And what they found was that the signal chat network didn't just involve clueless left-wing lunatics who had nothing else to do but harass ICE agents. No, the network included Minnesota government officials and even members of Tim Walz's own administration. For example, Amanda Kohler, a campaign strategist for Tim Walz. She's been featured prominently within the network as an active participant. Evidence suggests Minnesota Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan may have been involved at the highest levels. And then here's the kicker to make it even worse. Investigators have found donor lists showing foreign money funding these organizations. That's right. Foreign involvement in a coordinated effort to obstruct federal law enforcement. How do you spell treason?
And so let's take a step back for a moment. What happened? Well, fraud was discovered in Minneapolis. The governor of the state of Minnesota, instead of investigating it, he just called it a conspiracy theory. He just blamed racism on it, right? How dare we question? But then more federal agencies got involved and discovered, hey, Minneapolis is the ground zero of all this. And there just so happens to be a crap ton of illegals there. You know who we're going to send? We're going to send in ICE to kick all these people out and bring some accountability. But what did the governor do? He supported the riots. He went out and told people, hey, you know what? Don't listen to the Gestapo. Police officers, don't you dare assist federal agents. No. Then the riots started happening. And thankfully, it could have gotten a way worse. But then everything started imploding on itself. And so here's where it gets good. You have the city that is on fire. That's not literally on fire. We have the city that's collapsing because terrible leadership. And then all of a sudden, I think earlier this week, Tim Walz finally caved and told the local law enforcement, hey, actually, you guys need to do your job. Actually, you guys need to assist the feds. And all of a sudden, what happened, Joel?
Yeah, the police officers started assisting them. You had to think that the Minneapolis police had to be a really tough situation for them to be in. Just
of course.
Stand back. I know at one point they were kind of facing off. They were told to actually physically resist ICE, but you had to know that the Minneapolis police their leadership or maybe their leadership is just as corrupt. I don't know, but the rank and file, it had to kill them to stand back and see that they couldn't help their brothers in law enforcement.
And the mayor of Minneapolis, same thing. He was like, "Don't you dare assist them."
Yeah.
But then, when pressure kept mounting, it's like, okay, you know what? No, you guys need to do your job. Assist the feds.
And I just wonder how much of that pressure came from inside the police itself. And they said,
yeah. So
we're not standing by and watching this. We're supposed to do our job. We're supposed to help these, because the law enforcement community, it doesn't matter what branch you're in or what service you're in, they want to have each other's backs.
Of course. So here's what happened.
At the heart of getting walls to buckle was the flooding the zone strategy. That's what Border Czar Tom Homan has been talking so much about of late. You overwhelm sanctuary cities with massive ICE presence. We're talking literally 5 times the number of their entire police department. And that overwhelming force eventually gets these sanctuary cities to cave. They give up on their sanctuary city policies precisely because the calculus isn't working anymore. Those policies are only exacerbating and increasing the amount of federal agents taking over their cities. And this is the goal for the Trump administration. The goal isn't to flood the zone. The goal isn't to send in, 100,000 federal troops into Minneapolis. The goal is to get cities like Minneapolis to drop their sanctuary city nonsense and cooperate with federal officials so as to remove as many illegal migrants as possible as quickly as possible.
That's the goal. That's the ultimate vision of all this. This whole term of sanctuary city, not only is that a direct violation of federal law, but the thing is, so many blue cities have been getting away with it. But when you overwhelm that city with federal presence and you tell them, hey, we are here to do our job and enforce law and order, and if you do not follow the law, this is what's going to happen. And so I guess, Joel, my question for you is, how could have all of this been avoided? How could Minneapolis not be ground zero for all this craziness?
Oh, Minneapolis is crazy anyways.
Right. It's like you're adding on to a whole level of crazy.
Yeah, this is the same. This is the George Floyd city, right? So
I think
yeah,
so.
it was Minneapolis. Yeah. So I don't know, maybe like I said, you think it's you thought it was cold down where you are. Minnesota is just, they call it Minnesota cold, right? So I really don't know. I don't really understand what is it about Minnesota? It's kind of like this odd state in the Midwest where it doesn't seem to have Midwest values. So, and why Somalis would want to go there? There has to be a lot of money for them to go there.
Yeah.
Because if you think of if you grew up in Somalia, lived in Somalia, the last place you'd want to go is Minnesota.
Well, and here's the thing too. It's like the goal is to tear down this city's sanctuary status. Well, the whole concept of that is a sanctuary city. It was supposed to be a safe place for illegals. If they get arrested for whatever reason, the local law enforcement did not have to tell the feds. They could just let them go. And the feds were like, what? Seriously? Like, that's literally our job.
Right.
But the problem is when your city gets overwhelmed with federal agents who are there to do their job, and when your local law enforcement eventually assists them and do their job, and when your state leader says, I'm dropping out politics altogether at a very convenient time, when all this comes to light, what's the lesson? What can we learn from this? What do you think is the biggest lesson from all of this, Joel?
The biggest lesson? Well, I don't know. I really honestly don't know what you're getting at, Ben. But the thing I see about this is there's two different dynamics going on here. The protesters, well, obviously the immigrants are there. It's a big scam perpetrated by all levels of Minnesota law government, right? That goes from the governor all the way down, and the protesters and the rioters, basically, is what they really are paid Marxist agitators who have, so this is the chance before the midterm election for the Democratic Party to get some good footage of, their narrative of all of a sudden now we like states' rights,
Right.
Yeah. So, and honestly, I don't like to see, the federal government having to go into any place with a show of force.
Sure.
I mean, that's just not what the United States is all about.
Right.
So, and again, seeing a woman got shot and killed,
Right.
She was completely in the wrong, but it's still
Well,
a
life
woman.
was still lost.
Yeah, it's still a woman, and we don't like that. It's just something inside of ourselves. So, what you can learn, what I can learn from this stuff is there's no limit to what the left will do to get back into power.
Right. And here's the thing too. The lesson is just follow the law.
Oh,
just follow the freaking law. We as citizens are expected to follow laws. Right? Don't speed. Wear your seatbelt. You can't get alcohol unless you're 21 years old. You can't go do this. There's laws we follow on a day-to-day basis. Just follow the law. Do what Texas and Florida does. Have we seen riots like this in Texas and Florida? No, of course not, because local leaders would never, ever tolerate it getting this bad.
Right.
In red states. Are there protests? Sure there are. That's your American right. But local leaders and local law enforcement would never let it get that bad.
Yeah.
And so when ICE comes in and does their job, it's supposed to be get in, get out, do your job, go home. Right?
Yeah.
But that's not happening.
Yeah. But that's, again, that's a different worldview.
Right.
That's going back to what John Adams said, we are a nation of laws and not a nation of men.
That's like what was said in Romans.
Yeah.
Like our founding fathers knew what they were doing when they made this experiment called the United States of America. Did they have all the answers? No, but they knew what they were doing when it came to making a government of the people, for the people, by the people, but you still needed the rule of law.
Right.
To function.
Well, yeah. But minimal. They were states' rights.
Right.
Believers.
Right.
And so, a light touch from the federal government should be the norm.
Right.
So
it's when the local governments do not do their part.
Right.
And that's when the Fed's like, fine, we'll just overwhelm you with federal presence until you do your job.
Right. Yeah. So that's the legal side of it and the operational side of it. Unfortunately, there's also the media side of it and the public opinion side of it. And that's touch and go. I mean, there's so much lying and so much misinformation going out, and so much manipulation of this. I mean, they're counting on things like that have happening, and, as dumb as that woman was that picked up the grenade, her screaming for her mother like that is, they're going to play that up and say, oh, see this poor woman, if ICE wasn't there, whatever. So I don't know. I don't know how the situation seems to have calmed down. But we've seen some pretty ugly stuff, and it had enough of an effect where I think going forward we might see some more of it. So,
And the thing is, of course, we don't want to see it. We don't want to see what happens when these protesters become agitators, then they become rioters. There's that process, right? But of course, it doesn't help when you have a media that hates you, that despises you, and wants to make these events seem like they're justified when they're absolutely not. Why? Because they go against the law.
Right.
It's that simple. But the problem is, rules for thee, not for me. That's been the left's mantra for years.
Right.
We expect you to follow the law, but don't ask us to follow the law, because then it goes against the narrative.
Yeah. And again, there's the whole thing of going into a church. Your churches, every church should now have a plan. What do we do if this happens?
Right.
And they should be telling their congregations what to expect.
Right.
If such and such happens, this is what you do. This is where you go. This is who steps in front of whatever. I go to a church with a bunch of Marines and law enforcement, I pity the fool that comes into my church, but
right.
A lot of churches don't have that. And, so that whole episode did not necessarily hurt their movement. So this is a worldview clash, and it's a full on values clash. And, everybody's talking about civil war, and hopefully, Walt's caving in like this, we'll put it, quash that for now. But as these midterms coming up are just gigantic.
Yeah.
And their impact, and they will do everything they can,
Well, and we've seen how far they'll go.
Yeah, they'll go further than this.
Yes. And let me just give a quick little reminder here. I found this photo that speaks it speaks volumes. I want to list off some names about people who have died tragically recently, and there were no riots. There were no cities burned to the ground. The left didn't care about Ernia Zadkruska. I think she was the girl that was stabbed to death on that bus or train.
Yeah.
The left didn't care about Charlie Kirk. The left didn't care about Austin Metcalf. The left didn't care about that National Guardsman who got shot in D.C. But they burned cities to the ground over a woman who tried to assault federal agents. Let that sink in.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying that people on both sides are perfect. No. There are many flaws on the right as well. It's just, think about that for a moment. You do not see people on the right burning cities to the ground and rioting when they don't get their way.
You never have either.
Always has been on this side.
Yeah.
I didn't get my chicken tendies, so I'm going to burn the house down. That's what it is. And if you have people in your lives, people who are watching, listening, if you have people in your lives who are like that, help them. Love them, care for them. But if they do not want your help, if they want nothing to do with what's right and good, then you need to also keep your distance. Because who knows what's going to happen around them. If they don't get their way, you already know they're going to go down a path that's going to lead to destruction. And that, as Christians, is something we need to be mindful of all the time. You're not going to get your way. Things are not going to pan out for you. That you will never get your dreams all the time. That's not going to happen.
Right.
The only thing that's guaranteed to us is if you beg for forgiveness, repent. The guarantee is we will be able to see our King one day. Right. That's it. That's the only promise. That's the only thing you're guaranteed.
Right. And the governments are instituted by that King,
right,
to do good and to enforce law, not to enrich you with other people's money in a scam,
Right. So that's the end goal.
But that's the fundamental worldview difference between what government is for and what it's not.
So. Bingo. Well, sir, on that note, it's time to go.
Fast.
Great weekend, Joel.
You too. Stay warm.
Lucas, Asa Cruz, everyone here. Have a great weekend. God's in control.
Amen. See you next week.
Take care, guys.